welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 308, and I'm Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph across most of social media, although you will find my business things as fibernymphdyeworks pretty much everywhere, both on Ravelry, Instagram, and Facebook. So, today is Wednesday, Wednesday, March 20th. It's the first day of spring. Happy spring equinox. It's very exciting. That hadn't even registered to me until my daughter mentioned it to me earlier today. I know I would have noticed it or remembered it eventually, but yay! Now if the temperatures would just get a little warmer outside, then it would really feel like spring too. But it's chilly out there today. But it's warm in here, which is nice. I kicked the heat up just a little bit out here in this room because I'm so cold lately. I don't know what it is. I've been keeping the thermostat in the house down, trying to keep our reserves of oil that we've got left for the furnace lasting through the end of winter, or through the end of the cold this winter season. So the house is a little chillier than usual, but I have just been really, really cold, and I think it's because I'm not, like, I can't say empirically because I wasn't keeping track before, but I'm pretty sure I've drastically cut my caloric intake from what it was before I started to track it. I mentioned that last episode in my life goals section in 10% that I had started just tracking my food. I'm not like putting myself on any kind of stringent diet or anything, but just the act of tracking my food is making me make much better food choices in my day. I'm doing far less just snacking as I pass through the kitchen, and I'm purposely eating less carbs, like white flour and refined sugar. And I feel so much better doing that. But I honestly think I'm cold because I'm not eating as many calories as I had been before. I'm not starving myself, don't worry. Like, I'm not doing anything crazy, but yeah, definitely. And it's not like I'm not to a keto level of no carbs or low carbs. It's just much less than what I was having. So I think I keep telling my husband that's why I'm so cold. He's like, put a sweater on. Like, I can do that because I've got sweaters. But today I just wanted to wear a nice blouse because it's springy, and I just felt like being springy. So here we are. This is my coffee, my last cup of coffee from this morning. It's now 3:15 in the afternoon. I've heated this last cup of coffee up probably 8 times at least, and it's not tasting very good at this point, but it's warm, and I just wanted to get going with the podcast, so. Crappy reheated coffee it is for right now. Alrighty, so let's see. Let me just run down what we're going to talk about today. I've got a bunch of things, and they're sort of going to be mishmashed because some of my works in progress and finished objects also cross over into shop news. So there's going to be some overlap in that way. And then I've got some other things. I've got prize winner to announce for the Go With The Flow shawl giveaway. I've got some new things to share with you, which is going to also kind of morph into 10% because I went to a fiber event last weekend, which was very exciting. I very rarely get to go to them that I'm not vending at them, so I went to one that I wasn't vending, and I got to be just a normal person. That was fun, and I shopped. And then I've got shop news for you. And there's probably other little things mixed in there, but shop news will include an announcement about this year's holiday countdown sets. I know it's only March, but this seems to be the trend, getting them out there early. And honestly, it makes sense because they are extremely time consuming to do. So the earlier we can get them out there, the better. But I want to tell you about the ones I'm going to be doing this year. There are quite a few changes from how I've done them the past 2 years, so you might want to know about that if you're interested. Let's see, I've got a shop update coming up on the 25th of this month, which is my 8th anniversary shop update. I'm going to tell you some things about that. What else? yeah, nothing, well, just little bits. But those are the main points we're going to talk about today. Okay, we're going to begin with, I don't have any finished objects this week. I have some hose. Oh, you know what? That is actually not true. I do have a finished object. But I'm not going to show you that to you first. We're going to go in a different order today. All right. We're going to start with the sweater. My Serendipitously Fading Pullover. And of course, my sweater is the thing that's in the bottom of the basket that I have sitting next to me because I plan well. All right. Come here, sweater. I really hoped that this would be done by this week, and I guess it could have been if I wouldn't have gone back to sleep this morning, maybe. No, I don't know that I would have gotten it done this morning either. I was just really tired this morning, and I'm just coming to the point where, like, if I'm tired after Bill goes to work, I don't care. I know that's my knitting time, but sometimes sleep is just more important. And today was one of those days where sleep was more important. So I went back to bed for another hour and a half, and then I came out here and spun for a little bit. But anyway, sweater. It has one sleeve. Now, when I talked to you last week, I told you that it was sort of in timeout because I felt like I was going to need to dye one more skein of the last color that I used in the body. Sorry, Muffin's over there fidgeting like she always does. So that was her shaking her collar. Anyway, I thought I was going to need to dye some more yarn because I knew I was not going to have enough yarn for long sleeves, like full-length sleeves. And that's kind of what I really wanted. Now this is a pullover, and I know maybe it doesn't make a lot of sense, but usually for cardigans, I definitely want long sleeves. As I thought about this though, a pullover, I can deal with sleeves that aren't long. And so I thought, you know what, I'm not dyeing any more yarn for this sweater because this was originally supposed to be a project that I was just using one-of-a-kind skeins to begin with. And then it was ridiculous that I ended up having to dye more yarn for it anyway. So I just went ahead and I finished the first sleeve, which I had already started. If you remember, I told you last time I had a false start with the sleeves. I knit one sleeve most of the way while I was down at my mom's, and I tried it on and realized it was super big and baggy up here, and there was a lot of extra fabric here, like right at the front and the back by the armpit. That looked horrible, so I tore it out, and then I put it back on the needles, and I picked up half as many stitches in the underarm. I still have not looked at the pattern to see what I was supposed to have picked up, and I don't care at this point because I'm making this work. So anyway, this is my sleeve. And as you can see, there's really not a lot of shaping in it. And that's sort of on purpose because once I picked it back up and I started knitting, I did a really odd decrease kind of thing. I've never seen this in another sweater pattern before. Maybe it's a thing. Maybe I just made it up. I don't really know. But I picked up, you know, my armpit stitches. I think I picked up 10 and then maybe one on either side. So it was, you know, 12 stitches altogether. And then what I did, once I picked those up, I did one round. I just knit one round. And then when I got back to those 12 stitches, I had a stitch marker in the center. And when I got to 6 stitches prior to that marker, I did an SSK. And then I knit over to 5 stitches after the marker, and I knit 2 together with the 5th and the 6th stitch. So I did my decreases like right here. My first decreases were out here. Instead of being centered like down the middle, the seam-ish area of the middle of your sleeve on the bottom side. Do you know what I mean? If you've knit a sweater before, I'm hoping you're following that. Anyway, so I did that first decrease there, and then I knit around, and then I did another decrease there. Knit around, and I worked my way into that stitch marker that was in between all of those stitches I picked up. So that would have been, what, 5 decreases, I guess? I think so. Yeah, to take up those 6 stitches. So then I had 2, like there was the stitch marker in the middle, and then there would have been 2 decrease stitches there on either side, one on either side. So then the next round, I knit another straight round, and then I did a vertical double decrease. Now that did not work super well. Oh look, there's Tippy. Okay, remember, total digression, but that is definitely Tippy. Last week when I pointed out here and I'm like, oh look, there's Tippy. That was not Tippy. That wasn't even one of our cats. That was the next door neighbor's cat that looks nothing like Tippy. I just saw white and I thought, oh look, there's Tippy. But that really was Tippy. Anyway, the vertical double decrease would have worked way better had there been an extra stitch in the middle of those 2 decrease stitches, but there was not. This was not a planned thing, so it didn't matter. So my vertical double decrease was actually 1 stitch off. At that point, I had 64 stitches on the needle. Oh, and by the way, I didn't care that it was like off center. It was fine. I decided to knit a couple rounds and then I tried it on just to make sure I was on track. And I was. I loved it because doing all those decreases right here, both in the front and the back, you know, they're rapid decreases pretty much. And I end up with, if you can visualize it, you can probably see what it would have looked like, but it's a V. Let's see if you can see it on here. See that? Isn't that cute? I think it's a cute little thing. And then you have my off center my vertical double decrease there. But anyway, having done that, that totally took care of all this baggy stuff here. There was just no baggy stuff. There's a little in the back, but I think that's because I don't have boobs on my back. So between my boobs in the front and that rapid decrease, that took care of all of that baggy fabric that you hate having in the front of a sweater. And it fit perfectly in the arm. Matter of fact, it fits so perfectly in the arm, I decided I'm not doing any more decreases. And the other reason I decided that was because I knew I was not going to have enough yarn to make it a long-sleeved sweater, and I thought if this is going to end up like right at my elbow or, you know, 3/4 length, I would rather it just be a straight sleeve. And so that's what I ended up with. I just continued to knit it, and I have a straight sleeve, and it fits fabulously. I really can't wait to show this to you when it's on because I'm really very, very happy with how this worked out. So I did my fade. I did not even try to mimic how I did the fade in the sweater other than the fact that I did the colors in the same order, but I didn't bother with how many rounds. I did way more rounds of fading than I did in the actual sweater, but it looks fine on. You know, it's not like any weird obvious thing. Once I got through fading in this last color, I think I did a couple of rounds and then I started doing my ribbing, which I did the 3x1 ribbing that I did on the bottom of the sweater as well. I thought about making this like a split cuff here too to mimic the split hem I did in the sweater, but I thought that might be weird and then it would flop around and bother me. So I did not do that. I just did a regular, you know, ribbing connected the whole way around. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I love when things work out, even though you don't really have a really sound plan. So anyway, this morning I did start doing the second sleeve. So, and this is as far as I am. I just finished fading in this first color. So, and I'm done with the variegated. It's so funny. There's like this big pooling of this color right there. I don't care. Anyway, so yeah, I'm on the first modified Merlot color here. I'm hoping I'll be able to replicate what I did on the first sleeve, and mainly I'm worried that they both end up being the same length. That's my biggest thing. So I am going to have to watch as I go down. Now I did do the same thing when I picked up the stitches for the underarm. I had the same number. I think I had the same number. I think I did my decreases a little differently. I did the same general thing, but I think I started one stitch in too far because I only ended up with 4 decreases on either side of the stitch marker before I had to do vertical double decreases, and I was off by a stitch or two. I didn't end up with 64 stitches when I was done. I had to do a couple of extra vertical double decreases, but on the plus side, I did have a stitch between the two. So yeah, it was a little odd, although I set it up so that I would have a stitch in between the two that time. Like I did that on purpose. So that was sort of a forethought. But anyway, it's coming along. I can't wait to have it done. So all I have to do is finish this sleeve and then do whatever I'm going to do on the neckband. I'm probably going to pick up stitches and just do like a real narrow ribbing, although I don't want to do 3x1 ribbing on the neck because that will roll out some. You know, it does roll a little bit. I mean, you can see it even on here. It does this little thing, and I don't want that to happen on my neck. I might just do like an I-cord bind off of the neck. I don't know. Like pick up stitches and then do I-cord. I'll have to think about that because I actually really like where the neckline hits me now, so I don't really want to make it a whole lot tighter. I don't know. Anyway, I'm very happy with this. I can't wait to have it finished. I can't wait to wear it. I know I said I probably would not wear this to shows just because it's not something that I can offer. You know, when people see things and then they want it. But I was thinking I could actually put together like one-of-a-kind kits where I could do like a one-of-a-kind, really crazy variegated like this, and then put together a fade set for the rest of the sweater. I might do that for some of my shows coming up. I don't know. Would that be something that you'd be interested in the shop? I don't know. Let me know. If you think that would be interesting, I might do that because I think it would just be fun. I like offering those kind of interesting one-off kind of things at shows because then it lets people shop and get something that the rest of the world isn't going to get. But I'm fine with doing it for the shop too if there's interest for it. So you let me know. All right, so that's my sweater, and that is my cozy worsted weight base yarn, superwash, 100% superwash. All right, so other than the sweater, the only thing I've worked on the entire time since I talked to you last is socks. It's been all socks all the time, and they aren't even my whip socks. They are socks that I needed to knit for samples. And this is not on a sock blocker because it does not have a heel in it, but this is my first sample sock for my Pie a la Mode colorway that I had the update for last week on Pie Day on the 14th, 3.14. So this is how it stripes up. This sample was knit on Traveler, my Traveler sport weight base, and this is as far as I got. I was not able to get like the heel in and the second sock finished, but it was enough to be able to take a picture of it for the shop listing and then you know, show you how it knits up. So again, my Pie colorway, the striping pattern itself is based on the number sequence in Pie, so the stripe sequence never repeats the whole way through the skein. And then the colors are related to whatever the Pie theme is for that colorway, and this one is Pie, P-I, with an E in parentheses, a la Mode. So these are all ice cream colorways. So we've got French vanilla, mint chocolate chip, which has the little chocolate chip speckles in it, cinnamon, strawberry, and this one is butter pecan, which has the pecan speckles in it. So that is that. From the update, all of the ready to ship skeins did sell out. But there are still some dye to order skeins that you can order in the shop if you're interested. And I'll get those shipped out as soon as I can. I can't remember what I put in, like 4 weeks maybe? I don't know. It won't probably take that long. But anyway, yeah, you can still do dye to order. I'm not going to have any more of these ready to ship in the shop for the next shop update. So if you do want one, I would suggest doing the dye to order, and then you'll be assured of getting it. So anyway, that was the one thing I did this week. I did knit that sock. The other thing I did this week was, well, part of it I did this week and part of it I had already done, but I had it finished last week and couldn't show you, was the colorways that I'm having for my 8th anniversary shop update. Rather than a specific like 8 stripe colorway this year, I'm doing 2 other colorways as my 8th anniversary special colorways this year. And by way of introduction to them, I had hoped to actually do like an entire collection, like maybe 4 colorways for this, around this theme that I have. I was not able to do all 4, but I decided it was better to do 2 and get as many skeins of it ready as I could, rather than try to do 4 and then just not have as many. So I hope you understand that. But basically, I'm reflecting, because this is my business anniversary, I was really reflecting on what it means to me to be in business for myself, what's important to me about being in business, and having high quality everything is what's most important. Like, I want my products to be high quality, but beyond that, I want my standards of business to be high quality, which is why I always strive for as much transparency as I can in my listings. I try to make sure you know if there's, you know, a knot in a skein, or if there's a little bit of weirdness in a colorway. You know, I always try to be super open and honest and transparent because that's super important to me. I try to have very good customer service. If you have a problem, I hope you've had a good experience in dealing with me on that, because that's very important to me as well. But then beyond that, two things that are really important for me with my business are maintaining an positivity. I'm a fairly positive person, I think, generally speaking. I mean, we all have our moments, but you know, I'm a very positive person in life, and I want that to come through in my business too. Not just in the products itself, but you know, in the way I comport myself in my business and the way I present my business. I want it to be a positive thing. And the other thing is I really want my business to be inspired. And that speaks a little bit more to the products, but it also speaks to just ideas that I have within the way I function in my business. I'm always looking for new things and new ways to do things, better ways to do things. But as far as inspiration, I mostly mean I want it to be something where I'm not just going through the motions. Do you know what I mean? Like, I want to be doing what I'm doing because I really feel it. And I do. I mean, obviously it's not 100% of the time. Sometimes it's like, I have to dye this colorway again, you know, like for really popular colorways. And, you know, that does kind of get old a little bit sometimes, but in general, I don't mind it. But anything I do in my business, I want it to be because I'm inspired to do it, because I really feel it. And I don't want to be like just faking it so that people will buy my yarn and I can make money. That's never been a thing for me. I mean, yeah, this is what I do for a living, but it's more than that. This is part of my life, and I want my business to reflect how I carry myself in my life, essentially. I want it to be a reflection. So these two colorways are based on that. So the inspiration for these colorways is a little less concrete, I guess you could say, than a lot of my colorway inspirations, but they are based on qualities. And so I'm calling this my qualities collection, which like I said, there will probably be a couple other colorways coming, but for these first two colorways that I'm releasing for my 8th anniversary, these are the first two qualities that I'm sharing, and they are inspiration and positivity. So this one is inspiration. And I named it this because this is actually a new striping pattern for me. I don't know if people focus so much on the striping patterns as they do on the colors in the colorways. But for me, it's both. And sometimes it's way more about the striping pattern than it is the colors. The colors kind of come second. Actually, they have to work together. So anyway, this is a new striping pattern. It's got 5 colors, but the repeat is, okay, I'm pretty sure it's a 15 stripe repeat. Let me double check. 14, 15, 16. 16 stripes? 16 stripes. Sorry. I had it counted and then I lost it. Pretty sure it's 16 stripes. I'll double check that before putting it up. But yeah, it's so much fun. So this one I'm calling positivity, or I'm sorry, inspiration, because I was inspired to try this different striping pattern, and I just love the way these colors work together. So I did use the yarn from the colorway for the Afterthought heel. So it was basically, I picked up from where I left off on the toe and did the heel. So this one is inspiration, and then the second one is positivity. And positivity I did on my tweed base. So this one is on Bedazzled, in case you can't tell from the sparklies. But this is on my mountain tweed, my fingering weight mountain tweed, and I love how this turned out. This kind of reminds me of like an old school jersey or something. I don't know, but that wasn't a good name for this. I like positivity because it's warm colors, and I just think positivity is something that's warm and cozy and bright. So positivity has these lovely purples and pinks and warm brownish colors and gold. Positivity. So, and obviously when this is dyed up on the other bases that are not, that are more white, this will be a little brighter. This is a little more subdued on this base just because the Mountain Tweed base is not a bright white base to begin with. But there will obviously be pictures in the shop listing that you'll get to see what it'll look like on multiple bases. I'm doing both of these on multiple bases so that you'll have your choice, and I'm doing it on some of the heavier weight bases as well, so not just fingering weight. But that will all be in the listing. This isn't the shop news segment, but I told you there was going to be some overlap. So I just wanted to show you these. But I do actually have the second Inspiration colorway sock. It's just not on a blocker. Those are the two new colorways that will be in the shop. But they're also, you know, for my 8th anniversary update. But they're also what I've been working on. I am in the middle of working on the second Positivity sock. So here it is in the ball. And here's the second sock. I just love these colors. I love both of them. They're happy for me. Everything about the colorways in the upcoming collection is happy for me. So anyway, that's it. That's what I worked on since I talked to you last. A sweater and lots of socks. I did end up swatching because I just couldn't not. I dyed the yarn for my next sweater project. So this is like on deck. But I have just not been letting myself cast on because I want to finish that other sweater first. Once it's done, I may not even weave in the ends right away. I might cast the other sweater on. But I did dye up yarn for it. I didn't bring any of it. I have 8 skeins of it dyed up. So this is my Ridgetop DK. So this is the non-superwash yarn, the Romney Falkland blend. And this is the Warm Honey colorway. And appropriately enough, the sweater that I'm going to be making with this yarn is the Beekeeper Cardigan by Marie Green. So it's very close in color to the color that she used, actually. Although this is a warmer yellow, I think. Hers is a little browner. This is a little bit more yellow. Anyway, Beekeeper Cardigan. Now this was, if I understand, like a knit a sweater in a weekend kind of thing when she released it. So I feel like this is probably going to go pretty quickly. I will say the swatch, and I did a legit swatch, guys. Like, I followed the directions that she had in the pattern, and I did the legit swatch. I did, the first half I did on a US 7, the second was a US 6. I've not soaked it yet. I do need to soak it to get a true gauge, but I think one or the other of those. I'll probably end up using a 6, even though the pattern calls for a 7. I like the fabric I got with the 6 better. Anyway, let's see, I think it goes this way. Actually, I'm holding it upside down. So these are like little bee motifs. And what I like about it is the bees kind of come together to almost form sort of a honeycomb look to them, the way they work. Isn't that cool? She's clever. This was so much fun to knit. I just loved this motif. It was easy, it was quick, and the yarn was just a joy to work with. And I always feel like I'm kind of tooting my own horn. I didn't mill the yarn myself, but it's being milled for me, but I love it. I just love this yarn so much. It's got so much spring and bounce to it, and it's so nice and warm. My Hedgewitch shawl, I still wrap up in that almost every day because it's just so toasty. So anyway, that's going to be on my needles just as soon as I get that other sweater bound off. Just no question. Even if I don't have my swatch soaked yet, it's going to be on the needles because I can't wait to cast that on. But that's it. That's all that I've worked on since the last time I talked to you. So that takes us to the rest of the 90% section. I just wanted to mention I announced the Whipstravaganza winner for February in last week's episode, and I have not yet heard from you. So if you are Chris Marie on Ravelry, I'm still waiting to hear from you so that you can claim your prize. So you might want to pop back into last episode and check that out. I will remind you that the Craft What You Love along is still happening through the end of this month. So you've got, what, another 10, 11 days to work on that and take part in that. So it's not too late to join in. If you haven't joined in yet, just check out the main chatter thread, and that'll have all of your guidelines and what you have to do. It's very simple, really, but I'd love to have you be a part of that, and I will announce the winners in the first podcast in April, although I expect I'll probably have one more episode in March, so neither here nor there, but I won't be announcing them in the next podcast. I guess that was my point. As far as prize winners this week, though, I do have a prize winner to announce, if I can get this out of my little bin here, and that is for the Go With The Flow shawl that I shared with you last week, and this is a pattern by Jennifer Lassonde, and she was kind enough to offer a pattern up to one of our viewers of the podcast. Oh, my battery is running low. Well, thank you for letting me know that. That means that my battery will die and I won't be able to read my show notes. That's never good. Okay. I'll deal with that when the time comes. So anyway, I did do random number generator before I started recording, and random number generator, I think there were only like 8 entries for this one, and I think it's probably because this shawl's been out for a little while and I'm a little tardy in doing this drawing. But anyway, there were 8 posts, so I did 2 through number 9 with random number generator, and post number 3 was the one that RNG chose, and that is Charity Loves, who is Charity. So Charity, congratulations. Please PM me when you know that you have won this, and I will let Jen know, and she will gift that pattern to you through Ravelry. So congratulations, and I hope you enjoy the pattern because it's a very pretty shawl. So I've got new things to share with you this week. I know I just shared you new things last week. I don't usually have a lot, but this time I do because I actually went to an event, which I don't often get to do unless I'm vending at it. And I was not vending at this one. And this was the Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet and Creative Arts Festival. There's some other line associated with it now. I don't know. It's changed over the years. It does take place in Pittsburgh every year, usually I think in March. I've vended at it 1 year, but it's never been one that's been like on my rotation because I often have other ones that are too close to it to be able to do it well. And even though, you know, it's practically in my backyard, it's just not one that I vend at. So I do attend it every now and then. I don't even attend every single year, but I did attend this year, and the primary reason I went down was because my friend Steve from Leading Men Fiber Arts was going to be vending there, and that's the first time he and Andy have vended at this event, and I was so excited whenever I happened to see that. I was so glad that I saw that ahead of time because I would have been super sad had I realized after the fact that they were here and I didn't get to see them. So that was my main motivation for going down to the festival, was to see Steve and Andy. But I had a really good time walking around and seeing all the vendors. Of course, there was a ton of vendors down there I know from other shows that I do vend at, so I spent way more time down there than I had originally anticipated, just because I would walk a booth or so and then I'd stop and talk to people. But it was fun. It was just such a nice time. Like, I took Sunday off work. I don't always do that. So I had my day off and I went to a festival, which was exciting. So I have things that I will show you that I picked up at the show. And I hope I can remember all of the vendors. I'm totally going to blank on the name of this vendor. I will put it in the show notes, though. This vendor was selling these skeins of Stonehenge Fiber Mill Crazy Skeins that no two are alike. And as soon as I saw them, I knew I needed to pick some up for the shift cowl. I've wanted to make the shift cowl for a while now, but I did not have any of the spin cycle yarns to make it. And another cat. And I didn't really want to buy spin cycle yarns to make it, and I thought about trying to use hand spun or spinning some yarn specifically for it, but I just never did. And then when I saw this, and the price point was awesome because these were only 12 bucks a skein. Perfect. So I rooted through she had a big bin of them, and I went through them and I found these three. I love this one. Oh my gosh. The colors in this one make me so happy, but I think they're distinct enough that they should work up well. I don't really know if there was specific color theory to picking skeins for that particular project or any of the shift projects. So I'm just sort of taking a leap that hopefully this will work. So there was that. And then also in that booth, what did I get? Oh, I got this. So, and I've seen these before on different podcasts, but this is the first time I ever saw one in any place that I could buy it. It's the wrist ruler by I Love Handles is the company. And it's a leather strap that's a bracelet that you double, and it's also a ruler. I have not checked to see how accurate it is, but it looks like it would be fairly accurate. That looks like about an inch. Anyway, I haven't worn it yet, but basically, you know, you just put it around your wrist twice, and then it has the little, like there's a slot and a doodad, because that's technical. Trying to get it in there so I can show you. Yeah, it just goes on like that. And I just think it's so cute. They have them in so many fun colors, and I almost got a red one, but then I thought, no, I would really like just this neutral color because it would go with a lot of things. So I think this is the medium brown. I don't know. But yeah, so I got that. That was super fun. So I got that, and then I got to meet Amanda from Prada Delana. They were vending there, and I am a Patreon supporter of Prada Delana. They have a program set up through Patreon where you can sponsor one of their sheep, and I sponsor one of their sheep. His name is Clark, and they happen to have yarn there from Clark. It was his lammy shearing, so it's like his first year shearing. It's so amazingly soft. Clark is a Romney CVM cross, and I specifically picked him when I was choosing a sheep to sponsor. I wanted colored wool, and so it's just beautiful. And it's got, you know, some of the farm in there too, obviously a little veg matter. But it's so soft. I don't know what I'm going to make out of it. It's a fingering weight yarn, about 410 yards. It's so soft. It's going to be something for around my neck for sure. Anyway, so Prada Delana, I would check them out. It's a very cool farm. They are in Vermont, I believe. So I got that, and then I went to the Marionated Yarns booth. I don't think I've ever seen her booth, and if I have, it didn't register. She's a beautiful colorway. She had a lot of mini skein kits, and a lot of samples knit up with them. I did not get any of those, even though they were super tempting. But she had a lot of other beautiful colorways, so I picked this one up, which is called Winter Honey. And I just it's like this deep rainbowy kind of mixture of colors. It's just so beautiful. Now, this is her Scrumptious High Twist, which is a fingering weight yarn. It's an 80-10-10 MCN yarn, so merino, cashmere, nylon. This will not be socks. I very rarely knit with MCN yarn, just because I can't wear socks that are MCN. I just wear through them too quickly. So this will be some sort of, probably something around my neck. I don't know. It's my default. Or it'll be a contrast in something. I haven't decided yet, but it was just beautiful and I had to have it. And then she also had these really cute, just little tiny drawstring bags in her shop. And I picked this one up, not really as a knitting bag, but I'm going to use it like as a gift bag to put some sort of gift in for my daughter at some point, because my daughter likes macarons. Okay, and then there was another booth that I cannot remember the name. I'll try to put it in the show notes if I can figure it out. But they had a bunch of stuff, but they had a lot of buttons. And so I picked up 6 of these buttons. Aren't they beautiful? They're the lovely wooden buttons. I don't know if I can get this to focus any better. But I stood there and I rooted through the bin to try to find 6 of them that were, yeah, that's not going to focus. Oh, there, that's kind of good. 6 of them that were pretty much the same color. Now, the Beekeeper Cardigan does not use buttons. It's an open cardigan. So these will not go on that, but, you know, there's always another cardigan coming. So, well, that'll be that. And then I got this beautiful skein of yarn. Oh my god, I can't believe how much yarn I bought. I mean, I know you can buy more yarn, but I feel like this is a lot of yarn for me. This was from the Harps and Thistles booth, which they are a yarn shop in, I believe, northern Ohio, up near Akron. And she had a bunch of colorways that were done by 3 Irish girls, but they were exclusives to her shop. And they were gorgeous. All of them were gorgeous. I guess they supply like an inspiration picture to 3 Irish girls, and then they do the colorway. And so I got this one, which is called I Am Enough, because this is totally my wheelhouse. I love these colors. So I don't know what it'll become, but it will be something. And it is an 8515. It's the Adorn Luxe 8515 merino nylon. So fingering weight. And then lastly, certainly not least, I got a couple of half skeins from Steve and Andy's booth from Leading Men Fiber Arts. It was funny because I was standing there talking to Steve. I'm like, I've got so much of your yarn. I said, I don't really need more, but oh my gosh, your colors are beautiful, which they are. And so I got these. Aren't they amazing? These are going to become shorty socks. So this is their showstopper base. I'm not sure what intermission means. What does that mean, Steve? Or is that like half skeins? Maybe that move makes sense. Halfway, half skeins. Anyway, all right. These are fingering weight. So this is 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And this is called Cherry Blossoms. Super fun speckly. And this one is Raspberry Parfait, which goes really nicely with it. So these are going to become shorty socks for me. And thank you, Steve and Andy. They were so nice. They wouldn't let me pay for them. I'd taken a goodie bag down for them, and they're like, "Oh no, here, just you can have them." I'm like, I felt bad because like you're at a show, you're vending. But anyway, they're sweet. It was so nice to see Steve. I've known Steve for such a long time, even before he was ever, you know, a yarn dyer. Back when he was podcasting, and I met him at. Gosh, what retreat was it that I met you at, Steve? I want to say it wasn't an SSK. I want to say maybe it was the Loopy U Spring Fling. Was that what it was? I feel like maybe that's where we met. That was a long time ago. So it's always so nice to get to see him and give him a hug and catch up and everything. And luckily this year we actually have a couple of shows that we're both vending at. So I'll get to catch up with him again. A couple more times this year. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years, I think, since we've vended at the same show. So anyway, that was Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet, and that was my haul. And I did actually carry around one of my fibernymphdyeworks market bags to the market, which was perfect. It was the perfect size for the stuff I bought, and it was full by the time I was done. So if you would like your own, these are in the shop as well. It is a really nice size. Plus, it's got this little magnetic closure at the top, so it was cool. And one other new thing that I got that I did not get at the show, but I got through Etsy, is some stitch markers from Adorn It, who is Steph. She has the Knitting Samurai and Her Guys podcast, and she also does stitch markers, and she has an Etsy shop called Adorn It, ADOREKNIT. I love her stitch markers. They're so much fun, and she's got a lot of different themes like holidays and different pop culture ones, movies, things like that, TV shows. So I was on her shop and I had to get these. I had ordered these back around St. Patrick's Day, actually. So this set is like a bronzy or brass. I don't know, is that bronze or brass? I always get those two confused. The markers with green, different colored like green and gold beads, and then there's a progress keeper with a 4-leaf clover. It's not a shamrock. Shamrock only has 3 leaves. 4-leaf clover has 4. So I thought that was super cute. Loved that. So I got that set. And then I got this one. There's an Easter set that the bunny was so cute. So the markers themselves are silver, and then they have really fun spring colored beads on them. And then the beginning of round marker is a bunny who is also just really cute. Look at the bunny. I don't know why this thing never wants to focus for me anymore. But anyway, there you go. Bunny! So yeah, and I also had ordered a different set that I gave a friend of mine as a gift, which was super cute. It had a little cat playing with a ball of yarn and then some stitch markers. And then she threw in this little extra. It was just an Irish, a little Irish medallion with some extra little stitch markers. So thank you, Steph. I love my stitch markers. They're adorable. And then I got another shipment from her because Steph is, and actually maybe that was a special order. I put a special order in with her because if you ever buy a pie skein of yarn from me, I always put a stitch marker at the end of the yarn that starts the pie sequence, the 3 from the 3.14. There's always going to be a stitch marker tied to that end, and even though I know how to make stitch markers, I kind of don't enjoy it, so I placed a special order with her. So anytime, and actually the ones I've been using are ones I got from her for this purpose too, but anyway, I have a huge supply of Steph's little ring stitch markers for my pie skeins of yarn. So when you get a pie skein of yarn, it will have a little stitch marker courtesy of Adorn It. So thank you again, Steph, for that. It's awesome. Okay, so that's pretty much everything for 90%, and that also kind of took me into 10% because like going to Pittsburgh Knit and Crochet was sort of my 10% for this past week. I can't really say I did a whole lot else other than work, and I have not really listened to any books at all this week other than a little bit of the novel that I'm listening to. I've mostly been listening to the backlog of Ologies. I am so hooked on that podcast. It's just amazing. I find every one of the episodes interesting no matter what the topic. It's just so cool. One of the ones I listened to yesterday was Corvid Thanatology. Thanatology. Gosh, I can never say that word. Corvid Thanatology, which is crow funerals. And I was telling Bill about it. He's like, yeah, I've seen that. Like the way crows kind of like gather and have these little funerals for dead crows. It's really very cool behavior. Very interesting. So anyway, then there was an eschatology episode, which is basically like the apocalypse, end of the world kind of thing. Oh my gosh. Not in a religious way, but just like in a natural, more secular way. It was ridiculously crazy. Like that one, I may not have finished that until the very... No, I think I did finish it to the very end, but it was like a very heavy thing. Although it was so funny because the guy she was interviewing for that one, like he was very lighthearted. I guess maybe you'd have to be if that's your jam. That's what you study. Like you'd have to find some way to be kind of chipper. So it was funny because they both just sort of nervous laughed the whole way through the video or the audio. So anyway, yeah, I've really been enjoying Ologies audio podcast. All right, so other than that, I think that's everything for 10%. Let me go through everything for shop news real quick here. If you're not sticking around for shop news, then I will see you next time. But I do have some important things to talk about, so I'm going to do that now. Although I can't give you a lot of details because my notes shut off. And I'm not going to stop and go plug it in right now because there's not a whole lot more to tell you. But the first thing I wanted to let you know is I am going to be putting up pre-orders for my holiday countdown collection for 2019. They are going to go up on April 1st. No fooling. They'll definitely be up April 1st. My plan is to leave it up through the month of April and then it'll be done. I'm doing this very differently though than the way I've done it in past years. As opposed to it just being something that will be in the shop, it's actually going to be, I'm going to facilitate it more the way I facilitate club memberships. And I'm doing it this way because of how I'm doing the minis this year. I'm making a lot of different options available, and it would just be way too difficult to make all of those options something in one shop listing. So how this is going to work is, if you want to get a mini set this year for the holidays, you will fill out a questionnaire that I will put the link up for in all of the social media places, on Ravelry, in the shop. It'll all be out there, a million places. You'll fill out the questionnaire, make your choices for what you're going to want with your particular holiday countdown set, and then I will invoice you directly through PayPal for your specific set. Again, because there are just going to be a lot of options. I'm not going to go into all of the details of all of the options right now, but just to give you a general heads up about how it's going to work, you will have multiple options as to what kind of yarn you get. I'm making an option available this year where you can get all of one single base of minis for either Bounce or Bedazzled. So you can get your whole mini set in Bounce or your whole mini set in Bedazzled if you would like just one or the other of those bases. Or you can do the normal collection, which will be a combination. This year it's only going to be a combination of 4 bases: Bounce, Bedazzled, Mountain Tweed, and Heavenly, my MCN base. Those are the only 4 bases that will be in the yarn ones this year. In addition to the fingering weight options, there will also be an option to have a DK weight mini skein, holiday mini skein set. I've never done that before, but I thought that would be really fun. And for that one, it will be a combination of my Bonafide base, my Beguiled base, which is the sparkly DK, and my Mountain Tweed DK base. So just 3 bases, but the whole set will be of those 3 bases. There's not going to be an option for just your whole thing in one of those bases. The DK, it's all DK, all 3 bases. And then each of those will also come with a 25th day, which will be a full skein of yarn. And that one, you can choose whatever base you want. Out of any of the bases I'm making available, you don't have to get it in the same base as the rest of your mini set. Okay, so there's that. With regard to the colorways, they'll all be brand new colorways in all the sets. They'll obviously be the same colorways in both the fingering versions and the DK versions, but they will be colorways that I've not had before, and they will all be variegated, tonal, and speckled in the minis. There will be no self-striping colorways this year. Because of the theme that I'm going to be doing, it will work out better this way. But your full skein of yarn for day 25 will be a self-striping skein, and that will be an exclusive colorway to the sets that will not be in the shop, maybe ever, but definitely not for a year. Okay, so there's that. The other thing that will be an option for you, and this is one of the reasons I'm doing this early, is a payment option. You can either pay for your whole mini set at one time when you place the order. You fill out your questionnaire and I invoice you. If you choose that one, you will get a 10% discount off of the whole thing. Or if you would prefer, you can do it in 2 installments of equal payment, obviously. One due in April, one due in May. I realize that these mini sets are quite, an investment. They're not a small thing to purchase, and so if it would make it easier for you, you have that option. You just won't get the discount if you do it in the 2 payments, but at least it'll make it easier to do it for some people, I think. So that is that. I will not be doing a fiber one this year. I'm really sorry. I know there's a small handful of people out there who really like the fiber one. I've enjoyed doing it in the past, but for the colors that I'm planning to do this year, fiber just won't work very well. And so I'm going to take at least this year off from doing a fiber mini set for the holidays this year. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I'm not going to go overboard on extras this year. Last year was a very extras heavy year. This year there might be a few little extras mixed in, but for the most part, the focus is going to be on the yarn, and that will also help keep the sets a little bit more affordable. I'm just trying to make them more accessible to people, because I do know that that's one of the big things. People are like, I can't really afford to get one of the holiday advent kind of sets. And so I'm trying to make it more accessible to more people. But again, my plan is to leave those listings up through the month of April. Some of them may be limited. I haven't decided that yet. We'll see how that goes. But I will have all of that information up in the Ravelry thread. There will be a thread specifically for these, outlining everything, outlining prices, outlining all of the details. And I will be talking to you at least once more before that goes live anyway, the questionnaire. Excuse me. Yeah, but if you have any questions, feel free to, email me. fibernymph@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me if you have questions about that. I'm really excited to do them. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a totally different way of doing it, which keeps it interesting for me too, so that I'm not just doing kind of the same thing every single year. So, yeah, I hope I covered everything I needed to cover on that. Anyway, as far as the update that will be happening on the 25th, that's my 8th anniversary update. I already showed you my 2 colorways that I dyed up specifically for that update. Here, I'll show them again real quick. So, Inspiration and Positivity are these 2 colorways that are my 8th anniversary colorways that I'm introducing for the 8th anniversary update. In addition, I'm going to be doing more of the dark to fill in the blank with the color fade skeins. So I had dark to toxic green, I had dark to denim, and I did another one this time. It'll be dark to raspberry, which is actually a color I have done in the past. I'm trying to see. I guess I didn't bring them in here. Did I? No, I didn't. Oh, I did, but they're way over there. Yeah, my phone's going to die too, so I'm not going to grab them right this second. But I'm just letting you know that those will also be in the shop for the anniversary update. I will be putting together... Either I will do a video with me talking about the colorways specific to the update before the update, or I will put together another one of my little slideshows, because those seem to work really well for sharing what colorways will be in the shop. And then I've just got a bunch of other little things that will be going in for that update as well. So that's on the 25th, and then the holiday minis, which I didn't tell you, the theme for the holiday minis is Holiday Harmony. The Holiday Harmony mini collection is what it's called for 2019. So those will go up April 1st. Yeah, I think that is everything. And just a reminder, as far as my upcoming shows, my next show is the Allentown Fiber Festival, which is taking place April 13th, 14th, and 15th out in, no. I have to be gone those dates. Oh crap, I can't even look on there. I can see the card over there. It's the weekend of the 13th, 14th, and 15th of April. That Saturday and Sunday. I will be there the day before setting up. So, anyway, put that on your calendar if you're out in the Allentown, PA area, because I would love to see you. And I'm going to be having my booth a little bit different for that show. I have some new setup stuff. I'm really excited. Matter of fact, a bunch of it just came today. I haven't even taken it out of the boxes. What else? That's it. I think that's everything. I'm gonna stop here because I could sit here and try to think, and there's probably something I'm forgetting, but that's always the case. Anyway, I will talk to you again next week for sure. I'm not sure if it'll be far enough ahead of the shop update to remind you about it or not. It may actually be on that day that I end up recording, but whatever, we'll see. You'll hear from me somewhere along the line on social media. As always, the best place to follow me is on Instagram at fibernymphdyeworks. There's a Facebook page, the fibernymphdyeworks Facebook page. We have the Ravelry group as well, but the really time-sensitive, up-to-date stuff, the Instagram page or the Instagram account and Facebook, those are the 2 best places. I'm hoping to start the Fiber Nymph Dye Works blog on the website. Oh, and the newsletter. You can sign up for the newsletter on the website as well. That's also a good way to stay in touch. But the really timely stuff, that is the stuff you need to be on social media, really, to keep in touch with. But anyway, I am planning to start a blog so that I can also put information up there. Just haven't done that yet, but hopefully soon. because that will be one of the places that I will list the holiday mini set information and the link to the questionnaire. So more on that next time. I'm going to go. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.